I find with my daily practice, I'm practicing more and more just open awareness, where I'm just sitting and it's kind of a, I guess you'd call it a non-referential type meditation, where I'm just sitting and I'm not um, necessarily feeling my breath or anything else. I guess maybe you could just even call that abiding in awareness, which is lovely. It's, peaceful and calm. And um, I'm And then as I get up from the meditation cushion, I mean, that disappears. And it's almost as if something, whether it's the ego, I don't know, doesn't want to abide there. Like it seems almost like the thoughts that want to come up are just so seductive, and I'm drawn into that. Um, so on one hand, it's like, oh, it'd be so lovely to abide in this awareness. And yet I can feel the pull of the ego wanting to go into thoughts. And so there's that struggle. Um, so as I said, I don't know if there's a question there or not. It's just that's what I'm experiencing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Um, yeah. The ego. You use the word ego there. The ego, as I've said, you could equate it with operating in conventional reality. The egoic self is what is moving you through the world, and that's why I've always said you don't need to get rid of or want to get rid of the ego. You just have to see it for what it is. That it's not who you are. Um, so that in that sense, when we say the ego falling away, we don't mean the ego disappears. We just mean that we see that the ego is not who we truly are. It's just this personality, personal self. I don't know what other words I could use that knows how to get through the world, how to shovel the driveway and get to Sangha on a snowy day, how to all these things that it goes through the world. And the ego is usually on side for the spiritual thing, because it just sees it as some fun, right? We're gonna get into this, and I'm gonna be a better me. But the ego is usually on side. But when the personal self begins to dawn on the personal self that this isn't about me at all. This is about dwelling somewhere where I'm not needed at all, right? The ego feels very threatened by it. And in fact, the more you may find that the more, what's the word, not successful, but the more you are able to dwell in the ultimate, the more aggressive the ego itself gets in terms of impinging upon you with thoughts. And even one of the last hindrances that go is doubt. The ego's great at, is this for real? Like this guy was like, this was 2,500 years ago. I mean, look at so this doubt stuff that the ego's great at. That kind of turning on it, right? This is all great. And then when it doesn't look so great, it's like, oh, maybe you shouldn't be doing this anymore. And a lot of people hang up their meditation hats and then, they'll believe that egoic message that, you shouldn't be doing this anymore. And we'll leave for the practice for years. They always seem to come back. When you get to that point, you have no control. Like, you don't have control anyway, but you're going to come back anyway. So I was just wait. So yeah, okay, they always come back. But yeah, so it's not a problem. I guess knowing this is helpful, because you can just say, oh, there's the egoic self doing its thing. That's what it does. One teacher called it a shapeshifter. It'll shape shift into anything to remain center stage. Because for the ego, dwelling in the ultimate kind of feels like it's a death. To the ego, it feels like a death, even though it's not. I think the egoic mind gets to a point where, um, well, it falls away, right? In the sense that there's no longer a belief that this is who you are. Uh, so when the ego falls away in that way, there's no more struggle. But there's a long period of this back and forth. And I can't really tell you what brings about the 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 the, um, the complete falling away of the ego. It just happens, and it just happens naturally. There's nothing you can do to speed it up or slow it down. Just happen. It really spontaneously happens. Yeah. So it's all quite normal. So,
I, I guess the trick is not to resist it. Thoughts want to come up, so just let them come up and see it for what it is.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, definitely. Resistance is futile. What you resist
Mhm.
persists. All those
Mhm.
sayings are definitely applicable. And when you just allow it, then it's just, when there's no struggle, the ego is not there.
Well, you see, that's it. I can tell there's this leaning in for the ego not for wanting the ego not to be there.
Mm,
And again, that's resisting.
yeah, yeah. Make friends with your ego. Like, oh, there you are. What's Jason called the little rascal? I love that. It's just you're a bit of a little rascal, like a kind of dog you're trying to train, but it's kind of cute. It's an aspect of in the conventional reality of who you are, right? It's got a history and all that in terms of the relative world, appearances, the world of appearances. So, befriend you can embrace that, you can embrace the ego, embrace that as much as you would embrace the difficult person at work. Right? Yeah. So
Thanks, Stephen. That's very helpful.